Hey guys, welcome back to Econ Time with SK. So grab your notebooks, your favorite cup of coffee, and let's get started. Finally, we are ready to start one of the most important topics of this Eco 101 course, and it is also one of the most important topics that you will be seeing again and again in midterm one. It is demand and supply analysis. Okay, and when we're doing demand and supply analysis, we're actually first going to look at the demand side of things, right? So that means we're going to be looking at things from the consumer's point of view. All right, and then we're going to go into the chapter on supply. And so we're going to be introduced to how producers view things. So we're going to be looking at the producer's point of view. And finally, we're going to be combining both of this, combining demand side and supply side, and we are going to get market picture. So we're going to do market analysis. Essentially, then we're going to do a lot of applications. You're going to get a lot of practice about how to analyze what's happening in the market. And then we'll finally go into the midterm. So the first video here, I'm going to just focus on number one, introducing to you what is a market, what do we mean by market, and second, I'm going to just introduce the term demand to you. What do we mean by demand? All right, so let's get started. Okay, so what exactly is a market? A market essentially is anywhere where buyers and sellers are going to come together. Now, this could very well be a physical place, or it could be an online place. Any place where buyers and sellers are coming together. So when we say physical marketplace, you've seen that growing up. It's what we see on a day-to-day basis. There's places like Newmarket, Boshundhara City, even the photocopy store you've got downstairs. All of these are examples of physical marketplaces where buyers and sellers are coming together. On the other hand, when you're shopping online, let's say on Daraz or Amazon or on all those pages that you have, sellers on Facebook, right? And then a very common comment you're going to see there is price please. That all of that is an example of online markets, right? Because that is where buyers and sellers are coming together. So when we talk about the demand side of things, we're basically looking at the buying side of the market. Essentially, we are focusing on the consumers. And then when we are looking at the supply side of things, which is the selling side of the market, essentially we are looking at the producers who are also the sellers. Okay? So the first task at hand that we have is we have to define demand. All right, notice that demand in economics is actually a technical term, right? So it's not the same as the term demand that we use in English or Bangla, right? So demand is a technical term which essentially means that one is said to have demand when they have the willingness. So that's point number one. And they've got the ability, that's point number two, to buy a good at a given price in a given period of time. By willingness, what do we mean? বাংলায় যদি বলি তাহলে আমরা বলতে পারি যে willingness মানে তোমার ইচ্ছা আছে, you are wishful or you want to buy that good, right? But চাইলেই তো হয় না, right? So you must also have the ability, and this is basically looking at, can you afford it? All right, so when you put both of this together, only then do you have demand. And of course it is always going to be relative to a particular price. All right, you're going to be talking about a particular price and a given point in time. All right, so let's look at an example. So let's say we've got the case of Anna. So Anna, let's say she goes to the market and she wants to buy a coffee maker. All right, and ওর একটা বাজেট আছে, ও বললো যে 3,000 টাকা ও স্পেন্ড করার জন্য রাজি. So up to 3,000 টাকা she's fine spending that amount on a coffee maker, but more than that she's not willing to spend. সে দোকানে গিয়ে দেখে যে there are lots of coffee makers in the price range that she's interested in, so between 2,400 taka and 2,900 taka, so that's well within her budget. However, this is the problem. She sees that all of them are made in India and she would much rather buy stuff that are made in China. So in that case, would you say that Anna's got demand for Indian coffee makers? To answer that question, remember we learned two concepts, right? We have to answer, does she have the willingness? Does she want the thing? And does she have the ability? Ability is all about her budget. Can she afford it? So kind of definitely we see that her budget, remember her budget is 3,000 taka. All right. And the price of the coffee makers, they range between 2,400 taka to 2,900 taka. So this of course is well within her budget. So the question is, does she have the ability to purchase this coffee maker? Yes, she does. Okay, she has the ability to purchase the coffee maker. But the question now is, does she have the willingness? Well, the passage itself says that she actually doesn't have the willingness to buy Indian coffee makers, right? So basically she wants coffee maker that is made in China. So we can say that she doesn't have the willingness. So in that case, our conclusion is no, Anna does not have any demand for Indian coffee makers. Okay, now let's move on to the next example. All right, so here we are talking about Russ. Russ, he would like to download NordVPN, right? He wants to download the app into his phone. But then when he goes into the app store and he sees the price, he has the shock of his life because it's like $5 per month, which may not sound like much in USD, but then you convert it, it's actually more than 500 taka. So that's a lot. All right. So would you say that Russ has demand for NordVPN? Again, we're going to answer using the two concepts we've learned, right? We're going to ask ourselves, does Russ have the willingness to buy it? Does he have the ability to buy it? All right, so ability, remember, is about budget. Does he have the affording power? And the answer is no. USD 5 per month is a lot for Russ. It's beyond his budget. So he doesn't have the ability. What about willingness? Well, yeah, he does have the willingness to buy the good. That's why he went into the app store. He wants to protect his internet activity and he doesn't want his bank details to be stolen. So yes, he actually is interested, right, in getting hold of NordVPN. So yes, we would say that he does have the willingness. All right, but because you need to have both in order to have demand, we come to the conclusion that Russ does not have any demand for NordVPN app at $5 per month, right, at this given point in time. So that pretty much ends our discussion on what is demand. And in the next video, we are going to go into details and discover what we mean by the law of demand. All right, guys, I shall see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.